Game 4 here, and it seems like you could do a couple of things. All of them involve using sacrifice to trash cards, or engineer to trash itself, or embargo to trash itself to react to market squares is what I'm trying to say to get lots of gold. Well, how do you draw said gold? Well, Throne Embassy is a possibility. That doesn't draw too many cards. Well, it does draw a lot of cards, but it's difficult to line up Throne Embassy. Alternatively, safer alternative is the stables. You know, stables likes treasure and whatnot. So I think I'm gonna go after the stables thing here. How to do that is not immediately clear to me. My opponent goes double sacrifice, making use of arms here, and I just decided to follow him here. I was thinking about sacrifice market square, but even that I don't think is the best opening, and what I think now, after seeing the game, sacrifice silver is the best thing to get the stables as quickly as possible. So he has a real good draw here on turn 3. I think, as well as turn 4, he's able to sacrifice and get stables, which means I think it has to mean that he has sacrifice and 4 coppers in hand, which is, unlikely. But he is able to get these stables on turn 3 or 4, the first shuffle anyway, and he's moving along quite swimmingly. Now he picks up a throne room, I pick up a throne room as well here. I didn't want to fall behind on the throne room thing, but really, a silver, put a silver into your deck and you'll be able to buy stables probably, especially with sacrifices around. And I do go for the defiled shrine here. Didn't feel good at all to do that, but I still went for it anyway. Oh well. Oh well. So now, engineer for my opponent, I can only assume that is going to be used for throne rooms, market squares as well. I finally get some money into my deck with a gold by reacting this market square. My sacrifices have not behaved nicely either. But my opponent sees his stables here and, well, snowball, right? This is a thing people say about Dominion. Once he gets one stables, it's pretty easy for him to get another one, I think. Meaning, once he plays it, he'll draw a bunch of cards and then he'll be able to get another stable. So he sacrifices a sacrifice here. Not sure what he had in his hand that made him want to do that. Maybe he was looking for the engineer. I expected him to trash the engineer at this point. He doesn't. He just uses it as a workshop to pick up our throne room, and he starts to pile on his tables. So already at turn 7, things look pretty bad for me. My opponent has a couple of stables, an engineer, gold already. I do have points, which doesn't really matter too much, I think, but oh well. And throne and stables is very good for him. Very, very good. So already you can see the direction this game is going in. My opponent has managed to sort everything out. Sacrifice on an estate here gets him a gold because he has a market square in hand. And I think he should just be able to buy a lot of stables and gain throne rooms and market squares from here on out. Cut purse is also something I thought about maybe on turns 3 or 4, just because it might hurt these stables if you discard an estate, a copper, but I don't think it'll cripple your turn. It'll make it a little bit worse, but not cripple it, so it wasn't worth picking it up. Again, engineer being used to gain throne room and another stables for my opponent. So there's not much to be said here. I was just thinking about the game as things went along. Unfortunately, I'm not able to use all of my sacrificial power again. Here, the sacrifice isn't working too well for me. At this point, I'm just trying to deny as many throne rooms to my opponent as possible. I don't have too many actions in my deck, so I buy an engineer to try to help the throne room find something. So I'm thinking at least if I can deny many throne rooms, that might limit what he can do with his deck to an extent, yes, but he's still in very, very good shape regardless of how many throne rooms he gets. Another alternative, well, perhaps the only alternative for me right now, is to look for a way to end the game quickly, and pressuring the throne room pile helps in achieving that goal. Um, I expect my opponent to go after the stables. I will also go after the stables, and if I keep pressure in throne rooms, and I can do that very easily because arms is on the board, it doesn't matter if I draw garbage like this, I can still pick up a throne room. So, like I said, the stables will be gone, the throne rooms will be gone. Perhaps we might go after market squares, land into 3-pile territory. I have some points from the defiled shrine. I might come into play, but I think with 14 and 3 buys, he can easily play around any kind of 3-pile and opportunity that I'm trying to create. So, especially now with the relic, so he pulls down a relic now. The attack is going to hurt. It will hurt stables. Any discard attack hurts stables because it needs to have two things in hand, right? Not as simple as lab, which just needs to have one thing in hand, the lab itself. So the relic is going to hurt. Fortunately, you know, if you don't have stables in the deck, it can't hurt it, right? Thinking ahead, thinking ahead, thinking ahead. So perhaps there's also an argument for capital in either of our decks because it'll get us to the stables, especially me. I haven't been able to hit 5 in a very long time. I did it once for the game so far, and then I wasn't able to do so after that. Not sure why. Like, I did put a gold into my deck, and I don't know, the gold just hasn't come with enough money for me to purchase stables. I also haven't had sacrifice with market square in nice situations, so whatever. I still think my opening caused me to be in this position here. Sacrifice and silver is better. Perhaps you could even, you know, hold out on the sacrifice for a shuffle. So do something like cut purse and silver, seeing as how it is pretty harmful to one's deck development and not get stables early. Cut purse can prevent your opponent from getting to 5, and double silver gives you a good shot at getting to 5. Cut purse obviously being effectively a silver, and then when you eventually miss on turns 3 and 4, because usually, excuse me, usually, unless you're very lucky, you don't get 5 and 5 after opening silver, but you are reasonably likely to get at least 1-5. So I usually expect when I open double silver to go with 1-5 and 1-4 and make my plans accordingly, or 5 and 3 or something, but definitely at least the 1-5. So then on turns 3 and 4, perhaps you could have gone like stables and sacrifice. You don't even need the 2 sacrifices here, it looks like. It seems like just the 1 sacrifice, playing it more frequently, is the better option. So again here, we have 2 stables, 3 market squares. I take the points off of the defiled shrine just for a little bit of points. If my opponent somehow stalls, because stables does that sometimes, you know, it is not entirely impossible for him to draw 5 stables in his hand and have no treasures and then weep for the entirety of that shuffle because he can't draw. He'll probably be able to buy a province or something with the remaining treasure in his deck, but that's about the extent of it. So in the event that he stalls, I might be able to do something with a pile out with stables and market squares. I did trash my engineer, which is a bit unfortunate for that plan, but I still have to try, right? This is my only opportunity to win here. Only opportunity to win. But he doesn't stall. He actually sees everything, and he is, I believe, gonna finish the game here. I think he has enough buys to do so, if not this turn, on the next turn, and definitely has enough money. We've seen that. So he doesn't quite have enough buys, but he's just going to take care of the 3-pile issue that I'm presenting by picking up 3 provinces. So that puts the score way out of my reach. Way out of my reach, and at this point I don't really have a way to win, especially now with this draw. I mean, this is awful, man. What is that draw? I can't draw a single, non-gold treasure to save my life. Oh well. I could have actually thrown him here, but at this point the game is lost. So that is how game 4 ends. I pick up a silver here. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I pick up. But yeah, this is how game 4 ends. So yeah, I learned from this game through the difference in the shuffles, right, on turns 3 and 4, getting that stables. Getting stables was the most important thing, and well, I neglected that, and I feel like my opponent's opening also neglected that, but worked out for him, didn't really work out for me, so we're moving on. We are moving on to game 5 right now. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.